Well, thank you very much. It's nice to be here again, to see so many people observing the eight precepts. As we know, the eight precepts is one way of building up our sila, and it is excellent that you have taken the opportunity to practice the eight precepts every month, from what I understand, right? At least once a month. So today I'm going to talk about a topic which I guess as Buddhists is very relevant to our lives. It talks about right aspiration and how do we go about viewing aspiration and why need we have aspiration for us to progress spiritually. Now if you look at the great works of men who have changed the life of other people, these great works always begin from a single thought. Yeah? And this thought grows into an aspiration. Now I'm sure when we talk about the word aspiration, some people will wonder, what is the difference between aspiration and ambition? Is it good to have ambition? Is it good to have aspiration? I think the difference between aspiration and ambition is not very huge, it's not very large. Maybe it is not that great. Sometimes the words can be used, you can use one word here, and sometimes people like to use the other word. It can be used interchangeably. But maybe for the purpose of this talk, let us use the word aspiration in terms of something good, something worthy that we would like to reach. So when we say you aspire, some of you might aspire to be a Buddha. Alright? So you say, okay, I want to be a Buddha one day. Or some of you might want to aspire to be free from the realms of samsara. So you aspire to enter into the stream until one day you yourself might become an arahant. So we use aspiration in a certain kind of ideal, wanting to reach for a high ideal. Whereas ambition is a broader term, it can be used for high ideals as well as maybe to get rich, to have 3 cars, to have a very big business, multi-million business, or to become a general manager of the bank. So sometimes ambition can be used like that. Sometimes ambition is also linked to something which are pleasures which can bring happiness, essential happiness to our senses. Say people have certain kind of ambition. Why do you want to get rich? Well, because then you can buy the things which you want. And that could satisfy our essential pleasures. If we look at the life of painters, of inventors, we notice that they suffer a lot sometimes in order to create something for mankind. Now I was told that this light bulb was invented by Thomas Edison. Do you know how many times Thomas Edison tried in order to invent a bulb? You like to make a guess? How many times did he try? Any guesses? 1,000 times. Some more guesses? Anybody like to try? 30,000. Some other guesses? It seems that he tried 10,000 times. Every time he tried, that experiment was a failure. He says, never mind. I know if you make one mistake, then I know that this isn't the way I shouldn't do it. So I discovered one way not to do a bulb. So he tried 10,000 times. So he knows 9,999 ways how not to make a bulb. And the 10,000 times, the bulb was fulfilled. So he was successful. Like many people, when they want to try to do something, when they fail first time, they say, "Aiyo, then never mind, try again." They try again second time. "Aiyo, like that now, I think give up now. I don't think can be done." So sometimes I think we give up too easily. So if we can use the example of Thomas Edison, and of course examples of the Buddha also, we shouldn't give up so easily. If Thomas Edison has given up, we probably not have electric lights. We still have to go by our candles. You still have to use your plita. Plita, what? The kerosene oil. You know that, with the chorong and all that. Huh? Then we also know of this lady by the name of Helen Keller. Have you heard of Helen Keller before? One lady by the name of Helen Keller. Now Helen Keller, when she was a very young girl, or a baby actually, before she learned how to talk, she became blind, she became deaf, and because she doesn't know how to talk yet, she became dumb. So she was blind, deaf, and dumb. Now surely if we are not fortunate enough, if our karma is not good enough, if you are born blind, it is very unfortunate. Huh? We can't drive a car, we can't ride a motorbike, we do not know where we are going. We have to walk around with a white cane. And that is very tough. What if a person is born blind and deaf? Deaf also is very bad, because then your whole world is quiet. Like a blind man, his whole world is darkness. A deaf man, his whole world is silence. And can't talk. So normally when a person is in that kind of condition, it's very hard. But Helen Keller actually learned how to talk. She learned how to talk by putting her hand on the teacher's mouth and open her mouth to try to follow what the teacher does. And eventually she could learn how to talk. And she will travel from city to city in Europe and America to ask people to donate for the cause of the handicapped people. So Helen Keller was able to overcome her handicaps. Now look at us. We got eyes that can see, we got legs that can walk, we got ears that can hear, and we got mouth that can talk. And yet many of us never tried half as much or 1,000 times as much, as little, as what Helen Keller could achieve. And all this is because in the case of Thomas Edison and Helen Keller, they have this ambition, this aspiration to try to do something worthwhile. Now, of course, modern psychology is now coming to tell us a lot of things which is known to the Buddhists. The Buddha has told us many, many things, and like some of you who do meditation, we know that meditation is a way that we can change ourselves. Self-transformation. We change our own mind. We clean up our kilesa, our defilements in our mind. But psychologists is telling us, of course in modern psychology they've got things like psycho-cybernetics, they got auto-suggestions and all that. And they say that if we keep an idea in our mind for a long time, if we have a desire in our mind, that desire will come true. If you believe in a thing very strongly, that thing will come true. Now we can use the example of the Buddha himself in order to give us aspiration. All of you remember how the Buddha decided to become a bodhisattva. It seems that many millions of births before, maybe myriads of years in the past, he was sailing in the ocean with his mother. They were on this big ship. Then one day, while traveling in the ocean, there was a big storm. And the whole ship was thrown by the ocean waves. And finally, it hit some rock and the whole ship fell apart, fell into pieces. And he and his mother was thrown into the ocean. Now he was a young man. His mother was very old. He could have left the mother alone and let her drown while he saved himself. But you see, it is not so easy to be a bodhisattva. A bodhisattva has some special qualities. So he says, no, I must try to save my own mother. So he carried the mother on his back and swam for 7 days and 7 nights without stopping. And it seems that one deva took pity on him. That deva was related to him in the past and decided to show him the direction towards dry land. And he reached dry land. But it seems that while he was swimming in the ocean, he has got this desire, this aspiration. He says, may I one day, just like I tried to save my mother to bring her across this ocean to safety. May I one day become the Buddha so that I may ferry all beings across the sea of samsara to the other shore. And it was at that moment, while swimming for 7 days and 7 nights, that he planted this idea in his mind, in his consciousness, and this idea was never lost. No matter what birth he was born, whether born as an animal, born as a cow, born in the hells, born in the heavens, born as a human being, he never lost this aspiration of wanting to become a Buddha. And finally, what happened to him? He became the Buddha. And how can a person who was once an animal, once so dejected, becomes the Buddha? It all begins with this idea, this aspiration, this dream. Like some of you know the song, Impossible Dream, to reach the unreachable star, I think, To dream the impossible dream. It's like that, reaching out for an ideal. And if a person has a desire, if he plants his thought in his mind, especially when these ideas are noble ideas, he will see his dream come true. It is very important that when we plant ideas in our mind, that we should plant good ideas, noble ideas. Because if our ideas are polluted, if they are bad ideas, we will become a demon. You will become a demon because you will be changed by your own ideas. So it is very important that our ideas are good, are noble ideas, so that we will become better people every day. The Dhammapada says, the mind is the forerunner of all states. Mind is chief. Mind-made are they. Everything that we see in this world, even the life, our own life itself, our own existence in this world, has been created by our own mind. Yeah? Mind is number one. Mind is chief. Mind is the boss. Everything is mind-made. So if you plant a thought in your mind, you know what will happen. Now there is a need in every one of us. Sometimes when we get carried away in our daily business, in our daily job, we tend to lose sight of things. But within every one of us is the need to grow, to develop our potentials, to develop our talents, our energies, and our intelligence. We can all grow into a giant instead of shrinking into a dwarf. Most of the time we act like dwarfs, we think like dwarfs, but remember, we are not meant to be dwarfs. All of us are giants. We are potentially giants. All of us have the ability within us to fully realize the Dhamma, to fully remove the defilements in our mind. But what are we doing from day to day? Some of us make some move, but many people, they do absolutely nothing about themselves. So they are like dwarfs rather than giants. There is somebody who says that underachievers was not born, they are made. We made ourselves like that. If we don't have an ambition, if we don't have an aspiration, it's only because we make ourselves like that. If people can find a goal in which they believe in, and they give themselves wholeheartedly to the goal, they will achieve it. They will achieve it. But when we try to achieve our goal, it is important to remember that we should try to go an extra mile. You know what is going the extra mile? Say for instance, when you do some help, when you want to help someone, sometimes we sacrifice a lot of things, our time, our energy, sometimes even very inconvenient, we go and help people, isn't it? You go and help people out. But going one extra mile is that you help people out But you say, no, this is not enough. Let me do a little bit more. Okay? You're not satisfied with what you're doing, but you go one more step. Take one more step. Don't stop. Say, for instance, when you sit down to meditate, you say, okay, I want to sit down for half an hour. Okay, you sit down. After 10 minutes, you begin to have pain here, pain there, everywhere, pain, pins and needles and all that. But you say, never mind, go on meditating. So you meditate. Then when you open your eyes, you look, wow, exactly half an hour. Don't get up first. Try to extend for one more minute. Do the extra mile. Do a little bit more than what is expected of you. Can you do that? Go an extra mile. And a person who is too easily satisfied with achievement, people who become easily contented with their achievement, will not grow very high. Now, we can use the example of the Buddha himself. If the Buddha had been easily satisfied as a bodhisattva in his search for enlightenment, surely he will not be enlightened. You see, he was very bright. He studied under the teachers at that time. And very soon he attained what the teachers attained, came to the same level. But was he happy with the first teacher? He's got two teachers, Uddaka Ramaputta and Alara Kalama. Two teachers. But he was not satisfied with what they achieved. So he go and join the ascetics and torture himself. And he tortured himself to an extent that everybody respected him. But was he satisfied? He was still not satisfied. He still says, no, I have still not found what I was looking for. So he pushed himself some more. And finally he became the Buddha. And even before he became the Buddha, Mara came to him. Mara says, look at yourself, Don't you think you're stupid? Look at yourself. You're so skinny, you're so thin, and you almost died. Never eat, never do anything. Why don't you go back home? You got a wife, you got a child, you have a father waiting for you. You got your people down there at Kapilavastu. Go back to them. Go back and become a king. And I can promise you anything you want, I can give you. I can make you the world's greatest monarch. I promise you that. Just give up this. How do you know you can find what you're looking for? There are so many people in the past. Do you think that you're the only person looking for this truth? There are so many people before like you. But what happened to them? All of them died or they become crazy. Do you think that you're better than them? Do you think that you may find the truth? Why don't you go back to your palace and become the king? So when you become the world's greatest monarch, you will have the power to do merits for everybody. So much merits. If you're Prince Siddhartha, if you're ascetic Gautama sitting under the Bodhi tree, suffering down there, sitting in meditation, days and nights sitting in the rain and sun, with mosquitoes biting you, with ants crawling all over you, then finally, after 6 years, Mara come with you with that message. What would you do? Then in front of you come out like a video like that, like picture, the Yasodhara crying. She was also living like an ascetic, crying, please come back. And Prince Rahula, which you have not seen, he doesn't even know how the son looks like, cannot see the face, but now the boy has grown up, big already. And say, please come back, don't leave us. What would you do? Many of us easy, pack up and go. Mara makes so many nice promises. But you see, ascetic Gautama doesn't give up that easily. He says, no Mara, off you go. I'm not interested in your promises. I'm not interested in making merits. I've made enough merits. My merits have brought me to the heavens, but have not shown me the truth. Go away and leave me alone. And I promise that I'll sit on this spot and will not get up until I discover the truth. You see, and of course he found the truth. So, are we people who give up that easily? Or do we push onwards, for something noble, for something good? It is said that great men would have never reached their goal if they have been too pleased with their success. If people are so happy with the success which they have, the little success which we have, then we will not move on. And that is also true in the case of spiritual development. We must not easily give up. We must strive on. We must plant in our own minds an idea that let us strive on and on. We have gone round these rounds of samsara for so long. So many lives and lives. Many of us are still lay people. Maybe we are not in the position to take up the ropes yet. But even that, don't give up easily. So, each time when we strive on, remember the quotation of Andrew Carnegie, who says that my place is higher. Try to strive on with energy and will, with determination, with virya and aditana, so that we don't stop, that we keep on working onwards. There was a saying which says, don't stop until you have an ideal. Never stop until you attain it. Now, after having mentioned about the importance of having ideal and the importance of don't be so easily satisfied, and of trying to make the extra mile, let us talk about this road of transformation. Let us talk about this spiritual life. Now, as we go on living a life of a lay people, it is very important for us to have merits. We need to have merits. Why is it important to have merits? Anybody can answer? Why is merits important? Do you need merits or not? Why is merits important? How? That's right. So merits create favorable conditions for us. Merits are our friend. They open the door for us. Like you go to this modern building. You step near the door opens by itself. So the first time I remember that in my hometown when they had this public bank with the automatic door. So this man wanted to go to the bank. And he saw when somebody walked near the door opens, zoom, close. Oh, wonderful. Second man walked to the door opened and closed. Then when he wanted to do, he was not sure whether he was doing the right thing. So he walked towards the door and walked towards the side and waited for the door to open. But the door never opened. Then he saw people walking right through. The door opened and closed. And then so he stood there, stood there for a few minutes, not knowing what to do. So it's like that. Automatic. So when we have merits, our door open. Door of opportunity open up. So you got new opportunities. But if we don't have merits, what happens? We got bad, you don't say bad merits. Merit is good. So you have bad karma. What happens when you want to do something? When you want to buy a house, what happens? Something happens, something bad happens. You buy a car, the car gets stolen. You start a business, your business partner close down or go bankrupt. Something like that. That's all caused by bad karma. So bad karma prevent us from moving onwards. Bad karma holds us back. Very sticky, very sticky. Our leg gets stuck. Want to go forward? Cannot, tak boleh. Always slide back, slide backwards. So it is very important for us to have good merits. Merits, because merits is a condition for success. Merits also help us to attain Nibbana. Of course, with merits alone, you don't attain Nibbana, but it provides the condition for us to attain Nibbana. Creates a suitable condition. Then, when we talk about merits, there are many people who argues about merits. There is a debate about merits. Some people say, when we do merits, when we do good things, we must not think about merits. Just do. Don't think about marriage. What do you think about that? Is that right? I say, why do you all always talk about marriage? Do this meritorious, do that meritorious. Just do lah, Don't think about marriage. Which one is correct? There is one who says, okay, the Buddha says there are 10 meritorious deeds we must do. First, dana, sila, bhavana. Then reverence, service. Then rejoicing in, sharing of marriage, rejoicing in marriage. Hearing the Dharma, teaching the Dharma, and straightening points of view. These are the 10 meritorious deeds. Those are the 10 good karma we should do. Then some people say, why must you always talk about these 10 good things? You just do lah, if it's good merit. Never mind, don't think about it. Which one is more correct? Any opinion? What do you think? Do you think when you do meritorious, just do like that? Or you must think about it? Any opinions? No opinions. Yes. That each time when you do a thing, you are conscious of the fact that it is a good deed, and this good deed is a meritorious action.
This thing doesn't mean it's good to do that.
No, it doesn't mean. That he's conscious of the fact that this brings merits. Huh? Both are correct. Which one is better, do you think?
When you just do for maybe other people, you also the house people, you know that you're going to sacrifice something. Because less people there of selfishness, what do I have to pay and what do I have to do?
Okay. I think that's a very, very good answer. That when an action is done, it should be done out of love and compassion. That is very important. Love and compassion. And when you do action out of love and compassion, you do it, you are prepared to sacrifice your, self in order to help the other person out. And that constitutes a meritorious act. But it is important that when we do a meritorious act, we must not act out of ignorance. Some people think, they do good things, but they do not know they are good things. Whereas people who know the Dharma do good things and they know these are good things to do. If we are understanding Buddhists, we should be like the second person. If you act out of love and compassion, when you do good things out of love and compassion, we must know that these are good actions to be performed. Just like when people do bad actions, which one is better, to do bad actions out of ignorance or to do bad action out of knowledge? I know when you have knowledge you shouldn't do bad actions, but sometimes as lay people sometimes we do bad actions, but we know it is bad action. We know you shouldn't do it, but you see what to do. My boss asked me to lie, so I have to tell a little lie. Isn't it? But actually, which one is better? Out of ignorance or with some knowledge? Why with some knowledge is better?
You then know that no doubt you are compelled to do it this time, but next time around you try to make it a point of not doing it.
That's right, yeah. That's right. Because sometimes when we do a certain kind of thing, when we know it is not good, and we still have to do it, then it disturbs us, Then we say, it's not good, next time we shouldn't do it. So that is one level of doing it. The second, that's one level of understanding. So over time, we will begin, even from bad actions, we can develop our goodness, Do you know what I mean? Sometimes in order for our body to be strong, you must take in some bacteria also. Like water, of course you boil your water to drink. But is it good to drink distilled water? Drink because you do not want various pollutants, you call it, various alien things inside the water. So you say, I want my water only to be distilled water. So you drink distilled water all the time. And you want your air to be completely clean from germs. Do you think it's good? Not very good. Because when you get out of the environment, sure die on. You get sick very easily. Like little kids, sometimes they say, a bit dirty, never mind. Kid becomes stronger. More rugged, the kid become more rugged. It's like that. Sometimes from a wrong thing, we can actually develop the right. Sometimes. Okay? Because with some kind of knowledge, sometimes when we do a bad thing, we know it shouldn't be done. That is number one. Number two is when we can't help it when we do a bad thing, but with understanding, we can limit the damage. When you do a bad thing, you can control, you try to reduce as much hatred and anger. But if you do not know as an ignorant person, wow, when you do it, you enjoy it. You say, wow, you gasak lagi, you know. Say for instance, say you get into some kind of debate and all that, you gasak sama taruk lagi, you know. So it becomes, it's not good, you know, isn't it? So because of ignorance, sometimes a person creates more problems. So when we do a bad action, even with bad action, we should try to do with knowledge and understanding. What more when we perform a meritorious action? It becomes very important for us to have understanding as well. Okay? Now, when we perform merit, some people become very calculated. They say, well, if I do such a thing, I get 10 points. If I do such a thing, I get 100 points. It's like getting point system. So they do a lot of things, and after that they say, wow, I think when I die, I sure born in two-seater heaven, you know. I make so much merit. So have the account book. Okay, day one, I do such and such a thing to such and such a person, all good merits. So when we begin to become like that, we become so materialistic about merits, and that is not very good. It seems that there is a story, this is a Chinese story, about this emperor, who built a lot of temples in China. So he's very proud of himself that he had done a lot of things to promote the Dharma, which is good. Promotion of Dharma is very good. So one famous monk came, and he asked the monk, he brought the monk around the city and said, wow, I did this, I did that, I planted trees, I built this vihara, I built this stupa and all that. Then at the end of the journey, at the end of the day, he sat down to the monk and he said, oh, you see, I've done a lot of things. Tell me, monk, have I gathered a lot of merits or not? So what did the monk tell him? No merits. Actually, the monk is trying to say, when you do things, you start thinking of merits like that. What for? I mean, you shouldn't be so materialistic about merits. Merits are not something we should gather. So, but if the monk has done, if the emperor has done the same thing, out of compassion, out of real compassion, his merits will be uncountable, tremendous. So very important that when we perform a thing with compassion, we must also have some kind of understanding. Have some kind of understanding. We must understand the law of karma. And when we understand the law of karma, we know that we will perform a good action. That good action will have very good repercussions. Now, the law of karma is not like you plant one, you get one like that. Sometimes when you do law of karma, you can plant 100, and sometimes you might only get one. Or sometimes you may plant one, and you may get 1,000. All comes from the mind, the purity of your mind, how pure your mind is. It is not the act of doing, it's not the quantity. Some people say, well, I'm a rich man, and I give $10,000, contribute. But you must call the building after my name, Put my plate, the name of my plate above the door, and name the building after me. I give 10,000, never mind. 100,000 also can, no problem. Rich, if you got 10 million, what is 100,000? But compared to another person who might be a clerk, who might be renting a room, but because this clerk believes that she has to do something, she spent a lot of time, maybe sacrifice her time also, to try to raise, maybe to try to raise some funds, or maybe make a personal contribution to the propagation of Dharma activities. Then you can see the difference. One is the quantity, another one is what goes in the mind. So, It is important that when we go on in this spiritual life, in our life, this road of transformation, that we need to have merits. Merits can help us. And when we want to perform merits, when we perform good actions, perform it out of good intention. Now, just let me very quickly go through just a sidetrack. This is not really a sidetrack because I think this will amplify what I'm trying to say. Now, I'm sure many of us down here have donated blood before. Just as a show of hands, just to find out amongst our fellow Buddhists down here, how many of us have donated blood? Please put up your hands. Wow, very good, huh? Sadhu, huh? Thank you. Huh? So I can say safely about half of the people down here have donated blood before. Now, I think amongst the people who have donated blood before, I want you to just think about what you observe in blood donation. Normally, blood donation, people line up, isn't it? First, you get your blood tested. Then after that, they bring you to a bed and you lie down on the bed. They puncture the vein and put in a tube so that they can collect your blood that way. Some people, when they donate blood, how they line up, like lining up for a football show, and they tickle their friends, tease, joke, and they go and frighten the girls and say you got a very big needle, very painful, and all that. And so the whole thing becomes like a joke. Then when they lie down on the bed, they joke around. Their friends will come and tease them, and and they joke, and after that, after they have collected the blood, they rested for a while, get up and then go and drink Guinness Stout or go and drink Ovaltine or whatever. Huh? So this is one way people donate blood. Now, if you ask whether the person is doing something good, we must say that he's doing something good. It's very good. Now, let me just create another condition for you. Maybe you yourself is like this person. Say, for instance, you hear an announcement about blood donation. People say, what? Brother Eric says, okay, now we're going to have a blood donation campaign. Now, those of you who like to donate blood, please be here at the Santol Temple at 10 o'clock next week. Now, some of you say, I have not donated blood before, Why don't I try to make this an opportunity, Because I'm healthy. Now, as a healthy person, I don't have problem. I'm not short of blood. My body creates blood for me. But maybe somebody else may need my blood. Why don't I try to make it a point? I know the last 2 times I'm scared, I look at the needle, I'm scared. But this time time around, let me try to make that aspiration. So when you begin to think like this, then when you have frightening thoughts makes you frightened, you fight against that. And then finally you say, yes, I will do it. So even as you begin to do that, you're creating good merits, because now you're developing your good qualities of compassion. That is before the act is done. Now, next Sunday comes along, so you sit down and find everybody lining up. You've got a few beds down here. You've got a doctor sitting down there, nurse test your blood. Then you line up. Now, as you line up, you become mindful, almost like meditation. Mindful that now you're going to give something precious to the fellow human being. Now, this blood can only be taken from one human being and given to another. You can't take a blood from a monkey and inject on a human being. The human being may turn out to be a monkey if he's alive. You can't do that. This human blood can only come from a human being to be given to another human being. And what other service can we perform other than helping another human being live a longer life? What greater service can we possibly do? Then I know some of you say, teach him Dhamma. That's true, that's the highest. But besides that, what more can we do as a fellow human being for our fellow, for our people, for the humanity who is walking in this samsara? So this is our duty as a fellow human being. So when you line up, you have this thought. So they test the blood. They say, okay, your blood B. Then you wait for a bed to be vacant. Then you lie on the bed and they take the blood. Now as the blood flows, at that moment, if you can reflect in your mind, this blood which is now flowing in my body now, will next, very soon be used in order to bring life or to prolong the life of another human being. This human being will be taking something which is part of me, which is from my own body, something which is very close to me. And this blood will now flow in his body. Now, my friend, who is receiving my blood, I might not know you. You might be a young child who who meets with an accident. May this blood which I give enable you to grow, so that one day you might be able to grow up and become a useful person. Or this blood which I give may be for a young woman. May you be able to recover from this operation so that you may be able to return back to your husband and children and look after them. Now, if you can have that kind of thought, and then after giving the blood, you go home and reflect that I've done something good, then you can see the quality of merits. And this is what we mean. Now, the first person is, chances are that he's a person who doesn't know the Dhamma. So give blood, give blood, like going for funfair like that. The second one is a person who does it with mindfulness. And you can see the quality of giving. And believe me, if you give blood like the second person, when you get up from the bed, you will be radiating. You'll be radiant with compassion. Okay? So, of course, let me just use this example just a little further before I go back to this. Now, if we look at our lives as a fellow human being, let us ask ourselves, how many times in a year do we have a chance to do something very good? Something which you can be very proud of. Now, sometimes when you ask a person, sometimes once a year people start thinking, they can't think of an occasion in which they have done something good. Very hard. Sometimes, even for a person in his whole lifetime, ask him, can you think of something good? Very hard pressed, to find what is the something good which you have done. But if you can give the blood like that, carry that with you. Carry the happiness with you, because it might be very useful. Maybe. We do not know when our end might come. But if the end comes in it is always useful to be able to recall to mind the joy and the happiness that we have had in donating blood to another fellow human being, And that merit we should do is a very strong merit. And it may enable you to be born in a very good plane of existence, and may help to prevent you from falling into realms of suffering. Maybe. Very good, strong merits. Alright? So I was mentioning that as a human being, we cannot run away from merits unless we are enlightened. Like if you become an arahant, merits tak heran lagi. Never mind about merits. You can put merits aside. Not important. Because they are free from good karma, free from bad karma. But as a human being, we still need merits. We need merits. We need merits to help us in our spiritual life. And the thing is, we must never underestimate the power of merits. Never underestimate. Don't think little about your good deeds. You may do very little things, so you think maybe little, like coming to the temple, joining the 8 precepts, doing puja. You may think, oh, these are not very much. I do this every Sunday. But remember, merits accumulate. Like the Dhammapada says, even like water accumulate drop by drop, and one day become, a lot of water. Good actions is also like that. And the power of merits is such that it will enable to give you the breakthrough. It's able to change you. Yeah? Now, because merits are so important, because we know that as understanding Buddhists, when we know that we have performed good merits or good actions, that good actions will have good reactions. It is very important for us to make sure that the good merits flow in the right direction, ripen in the right direction. It is like you got a huge tank of water. Just imagine that this whole table is a big tank of water. If I were to open the sides of this tank, the water will flow out in every direction. But if I were to put a pipe, connect it to a garden hose, then I can maybe use it to water the plant. Okay? Alright? Or I can put it in the tap for you to bathe, for you to drink, to make use of the water. Now, our merits is like the water in the tank. Now, if we don't have an aspiration, the merits can ripen in so many ways, like opening the sides of the tank. flows in all directions. You do good marriage, you come to temple every Sunday and all that, very pious, very generous. Next birth, what happens to you? Born handsome, born rich, born intelligent, born with a lot of friends. Huh? Then you have all these good things, huh? And then after that you become action. Become successful. Then you start doing all the wrong things. Then start doing all the bad things. Then down you go again, So you go in like kind of yo-yo. Make all the merits finally become born in very fortunate conditions. After born in fortunate conditions, even go up to heavens. Then down you come again. What happened? How come? Do so much merits, how come like that? Good, these are the good results of your merits. But then what happens? Like some of the rich people, they are rich because of their good merits. But see how they're using their intelligence. Sometimes they make other people suffer also. Sometimes they become rich, other people suffer, poor people suffer. So, it is very important for us to have aspiration. The aspiration is like the pipe to this tank. Because the aspiration will direct your merits, good karma, so that they ripen in a particular way. Now say when you have performed a good merit, you say, may by the grace of these merits which I have performed, may I always avoid the company of bad people. May I always associate with the wise until I attain Nibbana. You all know the line, Imina punyakamena mami bala samagamo. Bala are foolish people. Satang samagamo hotu yava Nibbana patiya. Until I attain the final bliss of Nibbana, let me always have the right conditions to meet with good teachers, to meet with good friends who encourage me onwards. This is one way of directing good karma. Another way of directing good karma is that by the merits which I have performed, may I be diligent in the practice of meditation, maybe vipassana meditation. And by the diligent practice of vipassana meditation, may the realization, may the insights arise within me quickly and clearly. So you are saying that by the merits which I have performed, may I always have the opportunity to practice vipassana meditation. Therefore, when you want to practice vipassana meditation, you apply for leave, always get. Your boss always say, how many days leave you want? 4 days. Never mind, I take 6 days, go. Like that one. So you have the conditions. And this is how the Bodhisattva was able to move from life to life. This aspiration. Every time he does a thing, he says, may I one day become the Buddha. May I one day become a Buddha. Again and again and again and again. Finally become the Buddha. This is what we say aspiration. That is why we say great men always have aspiration. You want to succeed in whatever things, even in your spiritual life, you need to have aspiration. You can say again, when you have performed merits, even at the end of the day, when you, when you take your 5 precepts. Don't say, some people say, break the 8 precepts. Ayo, you all have started observing 8 precepts for so many hours, then you break them one by one. Start killing, start stealing, start, all doing all that. No, you don't break the 8 precepts. What you should do is you observe the 5 precepts. So you go back to 5 precepts again at the end of the day. Then make the aspiration. Maybe your aspiration may be like this. May the merits which I have performed enable me to find good teachers, good spiritual friends. And may I become successful in the practice of Dhamma, in meditation, until I attain Nibbana one day. You can make this aspiration. Every time when you do a thing, even if it is a simple deed, make the aspiration. Don't forget. Because many people, they don't do aspiration, what happened to them? Enjoy life. You get all the nice things coming to you, but then you don't progress. You go round and round in samsara again. So, as Buddhists, it is very important for us to have as right aspiration. Sometimes this right aspiration can also be understood as right thought. Right thought is sometimes explained as thoughts of non-harming, thoughts of non-violence, then thoughts of generosity, But even this right aspiration is also important. Right aim. We need to have the right aim in our life. Very important for us to progress. And what happens to the merits which we perform? Now, some of us down here in the hall, I'm sure many of you have a lot of merits. And some of your merits, if you perform, you'll find that you develop some quality much more than others. Amongst our brothers and sisters down here. Some of you are very good in your service. When people say, can you help in this? Never mind, you will just come and help. But never mind about everything, you just come and help. Some of you are very good in giving certain kind of support, like doing dana. When we say, we're going to have a dana, you come and do dana, never mind. Some of you, very strong in giving, maybe, what they call it, organized, you spend your time and energy. Some of you very strong in respect, in reverence. So whatever it is, I'm sure amongst us all, we are all not equal. Or in our journeys in samsara, we have all developed different aspects of our personality. Okay? The good merits which we have done will cluster together. Good merits have a way of attracting themselves, like magnet, like little magnet, and they cluster together, like what? Like mangosteen like that, cluster in a branch, like monkeys like that. When they are clustered like a mangosteen like that, then what do you call it? It's no longer a punya. Punya means merit. Merit means you do something good and you feel happy. When you do something good, like that. That is not merit. Merit is happy. The mind feels happy to do something good. So you have done one merit, and then you perform another merit, and they cluster together. Then what do you call it? What is the Pali word? You call that start with P. Anybody can suggest? P. What Pali word begins with P? Punya. Punya is merits, but P? Panya is wisdom. Well, I think it will enable you to become wise, that's true. But accumulated merits becomes a parami. A parami is the accumulated force of your good deeds. Your good deeds have force. And remember, your good deeds not only have force in the sense that it's got impact, not only in the sense that it can change things, it can change situation, it can change people, but it's got force through time. You do some good things now, you start something now. Maybe 100 years from now, your good deeds still remain. The force through time and space. So our good deeds have that kind of strength, So the accumulated good deeds are what you call parami. Sometimes we say perfection, very strong quality. Of course, for us to perform quality in this road of transformation, as we go about transforming ourselves, it is very important for us to bear in mind merits, to put a tag to our merits, to put a pipe to our merits, to keep company with good friends. If you want to make progress in our spiritual life, we need to have good friends. Good friends means what? People which the same interests, having same aspiration, having the same values. Because when we keep company with wrong people, sometimes they discourage us. They discourage us. They say like attracts like, success attracts success. When we associate with good people, we will also become good. So very important for us to keep with our spiritual brothers and sisters. It is also very important to make our life count, to make this life count. It is not so easy to be born as a human being, as all of us know. Let us make this life count. Let us make something out of this life. Do we just want to live a life like that and die? We live, grow old and die just like that. Or do we want to make something worthwhile of this life? Something useful out of this life. That is what it means by making this life count. We should try to make this life count. People everywhere are doing something lower. Sometimes even religious leaders are lowering standards in order to satisfy people, in order to gain more followers. Sometimes if their followers are very materialistic, they change their religion to suit their materialistic followers. But we shouldn't do such a thing. We shouldn't do something lower. We should make this life count. We should strengthen our mind and work towards this aspiration which we have. In other words, we should try to change ourselves as a Buddhist. We change ourselves through love and wisdom. And we should try to do service for others. Change the world around. Change ourselves and change the world around. Don't just be satisfied by helping yourself. If you can, help other people as well. People who do not have any motives actually waste their ability and they waste their life. And sometimes when we look around us and see that there are so many talented people, so many rich people, people with so much power, and the way they live their life, actually we pity them because they are actually wasting their life. And when they die, we cannot say where they go, whether they go into happy worlds or into suffering worlds. What a waste. With all the resources which they have, with all the intelligence which they have, they could have done something much more better, more worthwhile. People who don't have any motives waste their life. People who don't have any aspiration waste their life. For as Buddhists, we say this aspiration to improve ourselves, to develop ourselves. Maybe what we should do is, I've got a little suggestion down here. There are 4 things we should try to do in order to make this life count. Number 1, try to do something you do not want, but it's good. Now, if there's something which you do not want to do, but which is good to do, maybe you should try to do it today. Something which is not so pleasant, but which is good. Try to do it. Okay? If you can do that today, alright? Something which is no good. Something which is good, but you do not want to do it. Try to do that today. Second thing is, something which is good, something which you want to do and which is good. And do that also. Do that today. 2 things, Okay? The third thing is, spend a few minutes in meditation, either a puja or reading some good Dharma books or maybe reflections. Just a few minutes every day, starting from today. Spend a few minutes, maybe before you go to sleep. Actually, it's very good before you go to sleep to do some meditation. Clear the mind, especially metta. Clear the mind, clear the cobwebs. When the mind becomes very clear, then you go and sleep. When you wake up, the mind becomes clear also. When you go and sleep, the mind becomes confused and inside got a war like that. When you wake up, you feel very tired, isn't it? Okay? So, spend a few minutes in meditation or in puja. And the 4th thing is, reach out in some way every single day to someone else. Reach out to someone else. Don't keep to yourself. Help someone else. If you see that someone else needs your help, reach out. In every day to someone else. So can you remember these 4 things? These are only some suggestions. I'm sure you might have some other suggestions as well. Number 1, you try to do something which you do not want to do but which is good. Number 2 is do something which you want to do and which is good. Number 3 is what? Spend some time meditating or reflecting on the Dhamma. And number 4 is reach out to someone else. I try to do this every day. And I believe that if you can actually do some of these things, if not the 4 things every day, then at the end of it, if you can imagine at the end of this life, or no need end of this life, when we grow much older, when we think about what we have done in this life, then we say, wow, our life not bad. We have actually made something out of this life. This life is not wasted. It has been a good, useful life. Many people have benefited from it. Good life. Happy. Happy to go. Anytime to go, can go. Go anywhere. You can. No problems. Like some people, they're very scared because they have not done enough. At that time, they realize that actually they have wasted their life. So, to summarize, it is very important. I think sometimes we do not give enough emphasis on the importance of aspiration. It is very important for us to have aspiration. Right aspiration and right ideals help us perform good deeds, good merits. And we know that as we move in this world, as a worldling, we still need merits to support us, to help us to make progress. And when we do good merits, remember to make sure that you put a pipe also. Put a tag to it. It says, may this, by the grace of these merits, by the power of these merits, may it ripen in a certain way. And then remember to associate with good friends, good spiritual friends, because good spiritual friends are always very important to help us progress. And try to make our life count. Make something out of this life. Don't waste our life that easily. Now, just maybe to end this talk, let me just give a little story. This is my favorite story. I'm sure some of you have heard it. But for those people who have not heard it, I'm sure you'd like to hear the story. For those who have heard it, might want to hear it the second time. There's nothing wrong hearing a good story. This story is about a young red Indian who managed to find an egg of an eagle. So he took this egg of an eagle's egg, and put it in the farm along with the other chicken eggs, the normal chicken eggs. So this mother hen doesn't know. The mother hen sat on all the eggs, and one by one the eggs started hatching. And finally the egg of the eagle hatches, and the eagle come out like that. Of course, he found that he's bigger than the other fellow chicks, the brothers and sisters, but it's okay, So he started running around, and the mother hen will claw the earth and pull out some worm and say, okay, children, there's one worm for you, one worm for you, one worm for you. And this eagle also will take one worm for himself. And if he flies, he will fly like all the hen fly like that. Only fly about 5 to 10 feet. Okay? So this the thing is actually this eagle thought that he was a chicken. He began to think that he was a chicken. So one day, he saw a beautiful bird in the sky, flying without effort. The bird can move in all directions. If he wants to go down, it just swoops down and it can just fly to the sun. With such grace and with such power. And of course the mother hen will bring all the other chicks to run and hide. And he looked at this bird in admiration, great admiration. And after this eagle ran away, he turned to the mother and said, Mother, can you tell me, what bird is that? Oh, the mother said, that is an eagle. But you don't worry about him. Don't concern yourself about him. So this young eagle grew up in the farm and died in the farm, all the time thinking that he was a chicken. Never knew that he was an eagle actually. I think all of us, to a certain extent, like that also. Because all of us within ourselves have the ability to work to clear up our defilements. And we have the ability to achieve towards wisdom. through the practice of the Buddha Dhamma, we can actually free ourselves from suffering. But what happened to us? Running around like a chicken, running here, running there. Huh? And why? Because sometimes we don't have an aspiration, we don't have a goal. So instead of becoming an eagle, we'll end up becoming a chicken. So ask yourself, are you a chicken or are you an eagle? What do you like to be? Huh? Okay, both not a human being. Okay, all right. But using that as an example, using that as an example, which means that within every one of us we have much greater potential than what we imagine. All right? So, I do not know if you might have some questions which you want to ask. Yes.
In making aspiration, sometimes people tend to aspire for someone else. And sometimes they do marriage also on account of someone else. Is it possible to dedicate such marriage with such aspiration to another?
Based on from my understanding, if you have done merits, you cannot pass the merits to someone else. I can't say I do something and pass it to someone else. But of course, sometimes when you do good deeds, and when you do it and think of another person, you know the mind is a very powerful thing. We are actually talking about Chitta Niyama, the universal order of the mind. The Chitta Niyama is wonderful. Because sometimes with the Chitta Niyama, you can change people. You can make things happen. Do you believe that things can happen? You can make things happen with your own mind. Yeah? Give you a simple example. Nothing to do, something fantastic about the power of the mind and all that. There was an experiment once taken. A class of students. They are average students, selected at random. Now, they wanted to do an experiment. What they did was, they divided the students into two rows. Half of the class sit one, part of the students sit one side, the other part sits another side. They're just random, they're just picked at random. They're not specially selected based on anything else. But the teachers were told that the students sitting on this side of the classroom are brighter kids, that they have undertaken IQ tests, and all the students have IQ greater than 130, whereas the students on this side of the class are all average. The teachers are told this. Students didn't know about it. Huh? And it was found that when the teachers started teaching, somehow after that, when they did this IQ test, they found actually the students on this side of the class actually did much better than on that side. And there is no other way to explain it other than the fact that the teacher was the one, the way the teacher teaches the kids. They teach these kids as if these kids are really bright kids, and then teach the other side of the kids as if they are normal kids. And because of that, these kids all perform much better than the other group of kids. And the students are all taken at random. This is just to show you that how sometimes the way we react to people, the way we treat other people, the way we interact with other people can change people. Say, for instance, when you look at people, when you deal with people, and you always see good qualities in people, people will become good. You see, you're useless, you're lousy, you're good for nothing. That person will become like that. You see? So this is just the interaction with people. What more if a person were to do good deeds and say, by the performance of this good deeds, may such and such a thing happen? And it can happen. It is in the realm of the chitta to do such a thing. Some time back there was this venerable what's his name? Maitreya, Ananda Maitreya, who mentioned about how you can use the metta in order to cure sicknesses. How they focus and they use metta to cure sicknesses, and you can do that. So the mind is a very powerful thing. Sometimes when we do things, maybe at the end of the day you can sit down and radiate. May may my loved ones be well and healthy. Is so and so having problems, may he be able to overcome the problem. These are all good thoughts. Yeah? All very good thoughts. But of course you can't transfer your good merits to someone else. You can't do that actually. You can only transfer your merits only for the departed. You do something in memory of the departed. Do you want other questions? Yes. Is it good or no good, is it? What do people think? Is it good to aspire to get the big ship? $3 million. It's nice to have $3 million, I know. if I myself got $3 million, I know what to do with it. I can think of a couple of things that I like to do with the $3 million. But normally when we talk about aspiration, that could be linked to desire, but of course sometimes when we get the big sweep, we might want to donate a certain portion for charitable purposes sometimes, which is not too bad, which is quite good. But normally when we talk about aspiration, it must be something which is linked with non-greed, non-hatred. Non-greed, non-hatred. So the thing about getting $3 million, I think we cannot consider that as non-greed actually, because there is still some kind of attachment. So you don't actually aspire, you see, to win big sweep. You don't actually aspire. But of course, if you have performed good deeds in the past, you have performed a lot of dana, maybe you might be able to strike the big sweep because of your good karma. Maybe it's like that. You see, because when people gain things like that, there are some people sometimes when they have lucky draw, always win prizes. Now I've got some friends, every time they got lucky draw, they always win prizes. I think in the past life, I have done a lot of charity. Sometimes they go and enter just competition, can win a car, can win prizes, can win free tickets. Every time we win free tickets, fly here and fly there. Very lucky, because I've done a lot of charity. So if you want to win big sweep, do more charity lah. Maybe you can get. Maybe if not this life, maybe some future lives. Some other questions? We will have a short reflection. Let us have a short reflection. Well, I think today all of us gathered down here have done deeds of merits, either by observing certain precepts, either by listening to the Dharma, thinking about the Dharma, or by doing meditation. By the virtue of the merits which we have accumulated, may all of us be blessed with good health and a peace of mind, so that we may strive on with energy to purify our conduct and purify our mind through the Dharma. And may we be blessed with good friends and good teachers who can help to open up our minds towards the truth. May we enjoy the company of good spiritual companions with whom we can walk the noble path together. May by the merits that we have performed, may we always be energetic and successful in our practice of what is good and the avoidance of what is not good. May we constantly seek to strengthen ourselves with the Dharma by reading, reflecting and studying the Dharma. May we practice the Dharma by reaching out in some way every single day to someone else to help, to share, to enlighten and to practice the Dharma. May by the performance of these merits, may all beings be well and happy, and may we finally attain the final bliss of Nibbana.